Bing Bong's the first one on. He's saying, who's winning? They're just starting to race out there. William Sangmeister, Clark Chapin already liked and shared. Thank you very much, Clark. Julia's on as well, as we are here in Newport Beach, Corona Del Mar, Balboa Yacht Club. And we have a special guest, the Regatta Chair for Life. Christine Gribben will be joining us in a few minutes. She's going to join us live, hot here on the set. Delighted to have her here. Delighted to have all of you with us for show number 726, Tuesday the 23rd of July, 2024. Don Lunabos checking in from Sonoma. Guy Briere, don't call me Guy Briere from Southern Yacht Club. Oh, he's over in Pensacola, in fact. Pensacola Yacht Club, maybe the future home of American Magic. Who knows, maybe the America's Cup. Peter Taylor, greetings from New York City. And others. Mary Jude Szymanski in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and on and on and on. Delighted to have you all with us, as always. Our show live from the esteemed Balboa Yacht Club, where we are in the midst of the 57th Annual Governor's Cup. We will be doing 10 live shows. This is actually the second live show of 10 in 6 days this week. We did the live Meet the Teams last night that GovCup guru Andy Rose, who was our guest on Friday, he hosted and did a great job last night hosting that event. We had 300, we'll have Christine tell you about it, but 300 plus people here under the big GovCup tent, which we'll show you in a moment. Trophies behind me. We'll explain why I'm wearing a nice Hawaiian lei. Our next show after today's Sailing Illustrated show is tomorrow through Saturday. Every morning at 0900 we have pre-race morning shows. And that is, you'll see live as the kids do the boat draws, the skippers, the sailors, the kids. They're kids. And Dr. Don Becker, who is the PRO, Principal Race Officer, explains what's going on that day. Christine Gribben, the Regatta Chair, does the housekeeping and so on. Greg Newman, Father Greg Newman, who is the Chief Bosun, he takes care of the boats and any announcements he's got for the sailors. That's every morning at 0900, starting tomorrow morning, Wednesday through Saturday morning. Live racing coverage is Friday at 11:30. And that's again on Saturday at 11:30. And then Friday night when we come in, we'll do the press conference at 1907 p.m., the semifinalist press conference. We'll have all 4 semifinalist sailors, skippers. And then Saturday after the racing, we come back in. And there's a press conference again conducted by Andy Rose with the 2 finalist skippers, and then Christine Gribben and the Commodore Randy Taylor will conduct the prize giving. So that's what we're doing. We're delighted to have you all here. We had 300 plus people last night for the Meet the Teams. It was fabulous. Chris Shepard's on here. Chris is a former GovCup sailor, and he's saying looking forward to some close racing this week, praying for favorable breeze. I'm hearing from Bobby Steele that the breeze is probably on the lightish side, but not unusually light for Newport Beach. We think 8, 9, maybe as much as 11 during the week. William Sangmeister, Bing Bong, is asking what's the cutoff time for racing each day. Hold your questions for Christine, because there really is no cutoff time, and she'll be telling us all. David James up in Sausalito on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge saying, nice lay. Yes, I was laid by the Regatta Chairman, Christine, just before we went to air, and she'll explain why. Rick Bannero saying hi from steamy Connecticut. Go GovCup. And Peter Taylor, who sent us a big fan of match racing and youth sailing, helping out as he does on the East Coast. Nice to have you on, Peter, and thanks for your various submissions to this show over the now many years that you have been doing it. What are we celebrating today? We'd normally ask Julia, and it's very simply we're celebrating the 57th edition of the oldest youth match racing trophy. There's several others now of considerable repute, but Balboa Yacht Club's been doing this now since the 60s, patterned after the GovCup. The GovCup patterned after the Congressional Cup, and it's hosted annually here at the beautiful Balboa Yacht Club. That tent you see in that image is, and you can see the backdrop. I'm just sitting right in front of that backdrop, although that's a photo from a year or two ago. It's a terrific lineup of sailors. We're going to go over that with you, with Christine, and delighted to have you all here. I'm Tom Eamon, as you know, the host of Sailing Illustrated. Normally we have Julia Vedekint with us, but she is up in San Francisco, and we'll bring Christine on here in a sec to be our co-host for today's show, featuring the Governor's Cup, the oldest youth match racing trophy in the world. That's what we're celebrating today, and as always, we celebrate our FOSI. Those of you who support us, whether you're watching the show regularly or you've been on the show, or you are a contributor via Patreon, you're a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us $1 or $2 or $5 a month. Some people give us as much as $1,000 a month to keep this show on the air, and we appreciate it very much. So that's our intro today. Let's say shout Bravo Zulu, shout out to everyone connected. Christine will tell us about her hundreds, literally, of volunteers that make this all happen. Bravo Zulu to them. And you'll be seeing what we call the B bumper, the start-off video, at the start of each of the shows, starting tomorrow at 0900. So you can get used to it, and it's updated. And we've added something at the end. We'll see if anybody recognizes what we've done to it. The B bumper. And joining me on set now is the esteemed, as Andy Rose calls her, the GovCup guru, he calls her the chair.
Chair for life.
For life. How many years have you been doing this?
I've been on the Governor's Cup committee now for 19 years.
And how long have you been chairing it?
I believe this is my 10th or 11th.
You don't know?
I lost count.
I
can figure it out.
You're also a director of the club, right? You're on the board?
I am, yes.
Does that take a lot of time?
It takes some time, not a lot of time.
Which takes more time, being a director of a big yacht club like Balboa or being the GovCup chair?
I believe being the Governor's Cup chair takes a lot more time.
I would imagine that is the case. Who designed this year's logo?
This year, it's the same logo we've had, but the shirt logo was designed by my husband, Kevin.
So Kevin, who you've always celebrated in the shows, the Monday night shows, and said after thanking the sponsors and Andy Rose and everybody else, tell me who, you thank your husband. You remembered his name.
I did this year, yes.
You called him by something else last year.
Oh, Dennis.
And we've been calling him Dennis ever since.
Yeah, that would be Andy. He started it first. I just followed suit.
Well, I think he now is taking an active role, and it really is a family affair. I mean, how many volunteers do you have running this affair?
I have approximately 175, from race committee to people that get the swag bags together, water bottles, clothing, about 175.
Indeed. And the competitors list that we'll cover here at some length again. Andy and I covered it on Friday, but it's nice to always, let's get you scooched over just a tad. There we go. But we've got a great group of sailors, arguably the best field, the best group of sailors we've ever had. And if you only look at the 2023 results, the top 8 teams are back. 8 of the 12 from last year are back. Mm-hmm. And the 2023 results, you can see the semifinalists are all back. Jeffrey, Cole, Morgan, and Justin, there from the 2023 results, are back. And there is an alphabetical list there to the left, from Daniel Kemp from Australia through Dylan C. from the USA. And truthfully, any of them, Christine, could win it, right?
Any of them. This is one of the best fields we've had. We do qualify for a grade 1 from World Sailing if we are granted it.
What does that mean, grade 1?
It's the highest match race rankings in the world. The America's Cup is a grade 1. Congressional Cup, I believe, is a grade 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at, to say the tagline here, 8 of 12 returning. from 2023, but fully 5 of the 12 are in their last year. What's that all about?
Well, they age out. They cannot be 23 by the last day of this regatta, and 5 will age out this year, meaning that they will be 23 during the Governor's Cup next year.
Now, your daughter, speaking of family affairs, Sabrina Herrera, you say Herrera?
Yes.
She's watching from the club here in the model room, and you have a year or so old. How old's your grandson?
He will be 2 October 1st.
So Sabrina's watching. Greg Phillips. Greg, thank you for your submission. I've got it in the D block. He's checking in from the Gold Coast of Australia, where it's bloody hell. What time is it? 06:12 in the morning, I think, Greg. Bob Walker checking in from North Texas. We said Sabrina, is she going to take over after you're done?
That's the plan.
Is it?
According to Andy.
This is like royalty, huh? Succession.
Succession, yes.
Succession within the family. Is she still on double secret probation? I don't know what that means, Rick. Peter Bretschker's out watching on Adios. Now tell us about Commodore Peter Bretschker and what he and his wife Kari do for us at the GovCup.
They provide us their beautiful boat to run the media team from. So we have Andy commentating on the top. We have run from the back of the boat and the bow of the boat, some drones this year, again, I should say, and craft services, his wife, Secretary Kari Bretschker. She provides us with great snacks and food all day long.
She does. Victualization and hydration, as they say. What else is going on here? Thank you, Peter and Kari, for all you do for us, especially the GovCup TV team. We'll tell you about the GovCup TV in a moment. John Emmett is saying often the time difference works well. Really nice to watch some racing in the UK evening. John checking in. We have a segment from John as usual. His video submission from the Castle Cove Sailing Club today. And Fog Machine, I don't know if you know Fog Machine, who's on YouTube. He is a Bay Area senior serious sailor and is he's a very bright guy at St. Francis Yacht Club. Delighted to see Fog Machine on here. David James is saying it's so nice to see match racing with symmetrical spinnakers as nature intended. Fog Machine's Lance Burke, by the way. And if you have, there's John Sangmeister's on, father of William Sangmeister. Grade 1 doesn't mean anything. It's a sailboat race. No one cares. You know, John, I sort of agree. Andy thinks it's a big deal. Some regatta organizers do. It is a mark of, Christine, it really is a mark of accreditation from World Sailing, and you jump through a few hoops to make it work. But it is a feather in your cap.
Yes, we've achieved it once.
Only once?
Well, grade 1 once. We have been grade 2, I think 6 times.
Yeah, and it is. It is. 18, one reaches full. John does not like the 23-year-old age limit, but as you know, John, that is World Sailing's doing more than our own. John Emmett, drones are awesome. I was going to do some reels about them, and Christine, we do have drones. 2 drones actually out covering the racing, and because the battery life goes after 20-25 minutes, and Chris Bretschker cycles one drone up and one comes back and another one goes up.
They do, and sometimes we have one at the weather mark, and sometimes we have one down at the start line. And so sometimes we have all 2 in the air at the same time.
Do you see Claire Gesualdo Harrington? You know who that is?
No.
She is the esteemed Vice Commodore of the New York Yacht Club. I think she's in Barcelona. She did a quick trip over there. Oh, she is. Wishing you well from Barcelona. Claire is Vice Commodore in New York, and if she plays her cards right, will be the first female Commodore of New York Yacht Club. She's often on here watching the show. We're going to get her on soon, and is a very experienced. I mean, she was Commodore of, I can't remember if it was Vineyard Haven or of Nantucket, one of the yacht clubs there in the islands, the Elizabethan Islands. And she is an esteemed race officer for New York Yacht Club and other clubs, and we're delighted to have Claire on. Graham Sweeney checking in from Shetland, the Shetland Islands in Scotland. Edgartown Yacht Club. Oh, I wasn't even, okay, Edgartown. Thank you, Claire. past Commodore of Edgartown Yacht Club. And then Ed Worley, who is a SoCal, you know Ed? No. SoCal guy, and often on the show, and makes video contributions as well, America's Cup history contributions. Ed is down here in SoCal. BYC rocks. Nice to see you on, Ed. Christine, let's talk about our lays, because we talked about this last night at the, Andy did, and we have a sailor who, we showed you the list of the sailors who are here, but one did not make it this year.
Yes, Liam O'Keefe, who won his way to the Governor's Cup by winning the Collegiate Match Race Nationals this last November, tragically died at the end of May this year. Correct. So in honor of him, we had a lying ceremony out in the race committee course before the first race started this morning.
Yeah, Dr. Don Becker, who's our PRO, towed the boats out single file, which is normally does them in two lines behind the race committee boat, towed them out, and thanks to Tom Walker for this video, and then they circled, and that's a Southern California surfer tradition. We actually do it up in the bay too, in St. Francis for an 8-bell ceremony, but what proceeded from here?
So once they reached the race course, they did a circle, a one-horn blast, which signaled them to throw their lays in the water, and then we did the 8 bells. Yeah, it
would normally be wreaths, or flowers, and then Dr. Don Becker, who's the PRO on the race committee, rang the 8 bells, ding, 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 which is the traditional so-called 8-bell ceremony. And you know what that ceremony's from? Do you know how that 8 bells happens?
No, I don't.
It signals on the old tall ships, the old ships. It was the change of the watch, and it was 8 bells after usually 4 hours, sometimes otherwise, sometimes 8 hours, but 4 hours, ding, 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 and when somebody passed away, it was the end of their.
Yes, we do that.
Their ship.
Here when a member passes and we have our 8-bell ceremony. So
a lot of clubs do, and it's a great tradition in our sport, and it was very nice job. It was an idea that Andy Rose had, frankly, and it's the surfers go out beyond the surf line here in SoCal, and maybe worldwide, when somebody, a friend has passed, and they do the same surf on their surfboards, actually, get in a circle and throw lays or flowers into the water. So that's why we're wearing the lays today, and really nicely done, as usual.
Thank you.
By
yes,
Balboa.
it was very moving and touching.
By Balboa Yacht Club. Let's see if any of the folks. Julie Aaron's checking in from Cleveland, where it's 81 degrees and so humid. It's beautiful here in SoCal. Julie, as usual, it's maybe 75, maybe closer to 80, a little sticky, and it's pretty. Have you heard if what's going on out on the water?
No, not yet.
Is it a little light?
It's about 6 is what I've been told. They have started the races, so it's not too late to not start the races.
These boats, designed by Staff Commodore Alan Andrews of Balboa Yacht Club, one of the greatest naval architects living in this country, for sure, if not in the world, designed these boats. They're the second generation. These are the GovCup 22s.
Yes.
After the GovCup 21s, which got retired, 5-6 years ago?
They were retired, I believe we had our 50th anniversary in 2016, and they were retired the year before.
So the GovCup 22s actually are designed to perform in that wide range of conditions from, say, 5.
Yes, we've started races in 4.5 to 5 knots.
Indeed. And they're still pretty powered up out here, and it's flat water, of course, in 5 knots. And we've had some racing up into the 18, 19, even 20, right?
And we had one year it was about 22.
Okay, if you're just joining us, sitting to my right is Christine Gribben, who is the Regatta chair. This has become a tradition now to have a Tuesday Sailing Illustrated show, the second of 10 shows that we do here this week, and we're a bit busy, but we won't do a show Friday. So because we can't do a show Friday, we love to do this Tuesday show for you, and we will continue with it, and really featuring GovCup today, because that's, of course, what we are celebrating, including Chris Killian, former GovCup winner, Go, Mark.
That's his dad.
Oh, that's his.
Christophe Killian.
Oh, Christophe, the kid. So this is his dad, Chris Killian.
Chris Killian, yes.
Well, he's a good sailor, too.
He is a great sailor, yes.
Go Marcello, go Jeffrey, go Sienna. We'll talk about Sienna in a minute. My problem is I want all the people to know to win, and he must mean Marcello Torre from Fremantle, from Perth in Western Australia, who is here. He's back, and he's one of the great characters of this event. Speaking of which, let's go introduce the sailors. And the in alphabetical order, these are the 8 returning top sailors, Christine, in alphabetical by country. So first Australia is at the top because of A, and then Cole Tapper is of the 3 Australians. He was the finalist last year with Jeffrey Peterson from the home club, and he won his semifinal. Did he sail against Morgan? Or did he sail? I can't remember who he sailed in the semi.
I can't remember. No.
And then had
I want to say it's Morgan.
I think it was Morgan Pinckney from Newport Harbor Yacht Club, but he had a bang-up match. I mean, it was unbelievable, the match he had, the finals, with Jeffrey, and I think Jeffrey did end up winning 3-0.
He did, but they're very, very close.
And there was lots of lead changes, and each team made a couple of
They had some penalties.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it was great racing, and what do you think? Is Andy thinks if not Jeffrey to repeat. Why don't you slide back to your right? I moved you. There you go, because then I can use this split screen better. What do you think? Is Cole certainly among the favorites?
They are. This year, like I said, anybody could win this year. They are all very, very good sailors, and I am not going to predict the winner because I have seen too many upsets.
Okay, well, let's look at some of the other returning top. These are the semifinalists, in fact, from last year. An American, of course, just finishing up his sophomore year at Harvard. The fantastic sailor, one of the best sailors in this country at this point, Justin Callahan, who is back for his, second time?
Second time.
Second time. And Justin is a already 2-time All-American collegiate sailor at Harvard, and just a terrific young
He's a great young man.
Anything else to add?
No, he is best friends with Liam O'Keefe.
And last night?
Last night, he gave a great speech and talk about his friend Liam. It was very nice.
It was, and he had more than a tear in his eye, and it brought all of us to our, tearful. Andy, I know, all of us.
Liam was a great, great kid, a young man at this point, 21.
And a hell of a good sailor.
Great sailor.
Who was also a collegiate champion. He was
All-American at Brown.
All-American at Brown, and a lot of people thought, Justin told me the other day when he first got here on Sunday, and I got down here from San Francisco, he said, I was really expecting that Liam would be the other 4 times. It's very unusual for a college All-American or a college sailor to become an All-American all 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And of course, we just said Justin is in the process of achieving that, we think. Certainly has for the first 2 years. And Justin, who grew up with Liam in Miami, really was expecting him to do the same. So it was a brotherhood in many. In fact, he said, I looked on my phone, and I had more pictures of myself and Liam than his twin brother Mitchell, who was here last year crewing for him at GovCup. Anything else to add about all that?
No.
Okay, another semifinalist, and of course he is arguably the home club, if not the hometown favorite, although we got, as Chris Killian pointed out, we got a couple other locals who are also going to be very popular. And this, of course, Jeffrey Peterson, who has won the event twice, has 2-peated. And do you think, Christine, Jeffrey can 3-peat?
He could. He has the skill and the knowledge, and he's sailed these boats a lot. He definitely has the ability to become a 3-peat first time. And
tell me more. How many people have 3-peated?
Oh, I want to say it's
3-peated.
Nobody has 3-peated.
Right.
He would be the first.
Nobody has 3-peated.
Nobody.
And I think 13 people have 2-peated, if that's a word, have won it twice, including the esteemed
Andy Rose.
Andy Rose,
Yep.
our GovCup guru. I'll check back in for some comments, and then we will do another semifinalist from just across the harbor. Alex Kent is racing in Lake Mendota up in Wisconsin on a J24 tomorrow. Alex is from this corner of the country and a St. Francis member, or used to be. I'm not sure he still is. Graham Sweeney, a fitting tribute to a talented young guy gone before his best, 8 bells. Yes, indeed. You're wondering what that noise is. It's the kids working on a 420 or an FJ. What is that, Christine?
It's 420.
420 over here in the dinghy park just behind us. And at some point, they're going to strike the tent down here. And the end, this tent to house your 300-plus people at the dinner last night,
Yes.
double the size of the tent we're in for the rest of the week. And that will be coming down, I guess, whenever the tent guys get here.
Yes, they were scheduled here at 11:30.
You sound not amused.
Well, they're going to come when we're on live.
Well, and that just
It'll
gives
be
a little
fine.
ambient sound and a little
That's right.
background. David James, Harvard is a reasonably good school. You know where David James went to school?
No, Stanford.
Yes, he, Julia,
And Andy.
And Andy are the Stanfordites who call Harvard the Stanford of the
And
East.
Dylan C. will also be going to
Dylan C.,
Stanford.
who is here racing.
Yes.
And he is starting his freshman year at Stanford in September, August or September. Clark Chapin, Harvard. Do you mean the Michigan of the East? Clark is from Plymouth, Michigan, and a big fan of the university thereof. John Emmett, who's we got a report as usual, is saying the kites go at over 30 knots. Okay, they're back on kites and knots. We're going to feature the windsurfing class, the discipline, the event at the Olympics today, because the Olympics starts this Friday. It's a big week for our sport, Christine.
It's a great week.
But Sail GP in San Francisco last weekend. We've got GovCup here this week. We've got the Olympics starting in earnest on Sunday after the opening ceremony on Friday. And then, of course, the America's Cup is only 2 months away. Bing Bong, a.k.a. William Sangmeister, is saying, what pier are they at? I'm currently lost.
Newport. They should be around the schoolyard by the Newport Pier.
Okay, what's the schoolyard mean?
15th Street, approximately.
Yeah, because there's an elementary school.
There's an elementary school on the beach. I always wanted to go there when I grew up.
You didn't?
I did not know.
I mean, a lot of the locals I've talked to did, and it's
Yeah.
got this big, beautiful sandy beach. I mean, it literally is on the beach.
It is on the beach.
And we'll when we get out and do the live racing on Friday and Saturday, inevitably we shoot the shore. I have to be careful what I shoot.
Yes,
shoot
you
the shore.
do.
Right behind us, and this beautiful low-lying elementary school. And you imagine growing up there and being able to swim and surf
That's
at
amazing.
recess.
Yeah.
On your recess.
Recess.
So that's where they are, Bing Bong, 15th Street, approx. They call Dr. Don Becker calls that the schoolyard course. Okay, we're back on sailors after that a little break. Jeffrey Peterson is again probably the favorite, at least based on he didn't win 2 years ago. He won 3 years ago.
Correct. He won in 21. No. Yes, 21.
21, and then he won in 2023, and then we'll see if he can three-peat and become the first person ever to win this event 3 times. Now, to be fair to the guys that have won it twice, like Andy and some of the others back in the day.
Back when Andy sailed, it was under 18,
Right.
and
So-
he did it twice. So
Exactly right. Exactly right. So it is an achievement. We have to put a bit of an asterisk, but not a very big one, if Jeffrey can three-peat, because no one else has done it, even here since the age limit's been 23. Now, how about the cross-town, we might say, if it weren't cross-harbor, but the cross-harbor rival, Morgan Pinckney, who was funny as hell last night at the Meet the Teams, at the roast. Tell us about Morgan.
Morgan's a great kid. I've known his family for a long time, and he's at Newport Harbor. He's Yale, and he got here. Well, he won his way here, technically because he has. Actually, should I say that? He's a great sailor, and he qualified with the selection committee. But he also won the Rose Cup, which solidified his being here.
And the Rose Cup being the U.S. Youth Match Racing Championship.
Correct.
The trophy was not given by Andy Rose, he's always quick to say, but it was named after him.
NIPSA gave the trophy.
Who's NIPSA?
The Newport Balboa Sailing and Seamanship Association, which owns our Governor's Cup 22s, they got the trophy, and we had the race here at the Balboa Yacht Club for 5 years, and then it became the national championship for the youth match racing.
Now, I've been corrected by Steve Gruber, and I think technically he's right. It's not a three-peat if it isn't 3 in a row. What do you think, Madam Chair?
Well, technically, that's true.
Jeffrey would be the first 3-time winner.
3-time winner.
Should we adjust our commentary to that?
Yes. Let's be correct.
Okay, Steve Gruber, thank you for the correction. Andrew Pindar, good to see. Now, Andrew, I don't know if you know Andrew. He's a regular on here. He's one of the leading lights in our sport. He's a Brit and is often on the show. And this Magenta project, of which he is, I think, a director, a board member. Good to see you supporting the Magenta project, Tom, with your appropriately colored lei. So they have magenta, obviously the color of this project, but they are supporting women's sailing worldwide and doing a terrific job of it. And Andrew does a lot of other things for our beloved sport, and nice to see him on. David James, with hair like that, is it important to have a good sense of humor? Who's he talking
He's talking about Morgan.
Morgan Pinckney. And you know, he's turned into this kind of preppy surfer boy.
He is at Yale.
He is at Yale, but his hair is shorter this year. He looked great last night, and he played a bit of a trick on Andy.
Yes, he did.
You want to describe that? Those of you who watch the show will know.
Are we talking about the tricycles?
Yes.
So Morgan, Andy highlighted Morgan because he has a clip of him at Yale doing a tricycle race, probably at a pep rally.
In the basketball court, and it was the 2 sailors had pledged a fraternity, and they had a race, I think, on the basketball court during a Yale basketball, Bula Bula, the Yale Bulldogs basketball game. And they were both, I think, tuned up a bit.
Yes, I think so.
And they had
a little bit bigger, too.
They must have been down at Maury's.
So, yes.
Go ahead.
So, Morgan brought 2 tricycles and challenged Andy to a race.
Last night during the show. That didn't go off very well with Andy.
No, so he made Justin stand in his place.
So Justin Callahan, who was on the stage with him, and we had a Harvard-Yale tricycle race approximately
here
where we're sitting here. Our tech table now for this show is just, you can see the stage behind us. We'll be up on the stage starting tomorrow morning at 0900, and you can see the GovCup there and so on. And your media wall, the step and repeat media wall,
yes,
which is fantastic. But Morgan Pinckney, crosstown rival of Jeffrey's, but really they're good friends. And it's amazing, Christine, to see all of these kids, what good friends they are.
They are terrific friends. Yes.
And not just the Americans and not just the top sailors from top to bottom on the list.
No, I've seen all of them interact with each other, and they are friends. And not just, sailing acquaintances, but they are true friends with each other. And it's great to see.
And lifelong friends, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So this tricycle race, just a coda epilogue to that. Yesterday, I'm over here preparing the show for last night and slides and so on. And Andy's over writing his speech and trying to do his researches and getting nervous, and by his own admission.
Yes.
And you're conducting the regatta, but all the kids stop over. They stop at the table where I'm doing my computer. And hi, how are you? I watched the show on Friday, and they're all talking, and I was sitting with, I won't name which 2, they were sitting with 2 of the top sailors were sitting, one of the top sailors was sitting with me, and another top sailor came over and said, hey, what do you do with the top of your spinnaker? What knot do you use? And these are top sailors, and they just wanted to compare notes, and the other top sailor sitting at the table said, oh, we use this knot because we think it's a little more reliable. And, well, what about your jib leads? And, I can't remember what they were talking about. But it was fantastic. And the atmosphere here, Christine, thanks to you and Andy and everybody else, is extraordinary.
Thank you. It was great. It still is great this morning. It's just a continuation from last night, it feels like.
Indeed. A couple other sailors to note, back again this year. Now, I talked to him this morning. This is Nicholas Bernal, former Lightning Junior World Champion. He was here last year, didn't do very well, but has concentrated apparently on match racing in the meantime. And his yacht club, Santo Amaro, down in Brazil, he's a top-notch sailor, small boat, and he's been doing some big boat sailing as well. And his English, I mean, I wish I could speak Portuguese or let alone Spanish or German where I've lived, as half as well as he speaks English.
Yes, his English has improved immensely from last year to this year. And, I mean, it was great last year, but it's even better this year. And he was joking with Andy on stage last night. It was really fun to see.
And he did. He told a couple of good jokes, and he must have rehearsed them. Probably.
As we all should.
And all the kids did that. It was amazing to see how many of the teams last night had a trick or treat for Andy.
Yes.
T-shirts, making him an honorary Kiwi, talking to him, and Andy loves
Bringing him beer
from Australia.
From Australia.
And it's the atmosphere, as I said, is just marvelous. And Nicholas Bernal, whom I was talking to this morning, I said, Nicholas, I talked to him in Spanish, my broken Spanish, having lived in Spain, and they speak Spanish, of course, and as well as Portuguese and now English and a little German and French. But I said, Nicholas, when somebody compliments you on your English, don't say, oh, well, I just say thank you, because it shuts us up immediately.
That's right. We won't talk anymore.
We can't say another thing. Just, shut us up. Just say thank you, and it works beautifully. I don't know if you tell Sabrina, you tell your daughter that, but that's what I used to tell Meg. If somebody compliments you, don't say, just say thank you, right?
That's it.
Sabrina's sitting here, part of our live studio audience, with a sound asleep grandson on your shoulder. Come on over behind us, Sabrina, would you please? Especially if you're going to be the next. Come right behind your mom. I'll take that shot. There you go. What's the grandson's name?
Nicolás Herrera.
Nicolás. El habla español también. Nicolás. Oh, he's very sleepy. Sorry, Nicolás. Oh, he's so sleepy. Okay. Family affair. It's a family affair. So we got Nicholas here, and we've got he's my favorite. I'm sorry. Anybody who shows up, he didn't show up in a tux, but in fact, the truth be told, he didn't even send the picture in a tux. I found it online, and they were at a prom or something. And I used it. I texted him last year. This is from last year. Is it okay to use it? He said, by all means. And he and his Irish team, this is Tom Higgins from the Royal St. George Yacht Club, are just the finest, most polite gentlemen at this event.
Yes.
Huh?
Absolutely.
We think highly of them, and we'll see. They didn't do very well last year. We'll see if they come good this year.
Yeah, they were our first alternate, and they got an opportunity to come back this year. And when they were the first alternate, they sent me a nice letter saying, we understand why and thank you, but hopefully we'll get a chance. And they did. So we were very happy to have them back.
And enthusiastically.
Yes.
Yeah. John Emmett is asking, who was the youngest ever Fozy? I don't know if he means Fozy, I don't know who the youngest Fozy, probably William Sangmeister, who's on here, Bing Bong, as he hides behind that name on YouTube. But who's the youngest ever sailor? Is it Sienna Nichols, who is here this year?
Yes.
How old?
Sienna is 15.
Yes.
And her twin sister, Maddie, also obviously 15.
And then they have two other kids on the boat. I was talking with them this morning. They have a 16-year-old.
Eddie Kleem, who's doing bow for them, and Kai Brennan. She's a trimmer.
She's 17.
She's 17.
I call her the adult supervision
Yes.
of their team. I don't have Sienna's picture, but you'll see a lot of her during the week, because as the youngest, she's just good.
She's great.
And she finished 5th in the Rose Cup, the U.S. Youth Match Racing Championship, which surprised, I think, a lot of people.
It did.
Maybe even herself.
No, I don't think so.
Well, she won't admit it, but talking with her parents.
Yes.
I do talk to her parents.
Yes.
Sabrina,
I was there with
you
them,
got a comment, Sabrina?
I'm just reading the comments, and it says he meant the grandson. Fozy was towards Nikki.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, I see, because he's appeared on the show. That makes him a Fozy, a friend
Oh.
of Sailing Illustrated.
There you go. The youngest ever.
The youngest, I get it, John Emmett. I'm a little slow on the uptake.
I didn't get it either.
I had two Heineken Zeros last night.
Oh. Have you had coffee this morning?
I have had coffee.
No, then
this
you're
morning.
good.
And I must say, he's over watching it, I'm sure, at Chateau Rose Frederick, but where I'm staying. But Stephen Frederick
Yes.
brings me an iced coffee every morning. He goes down the street to some coffee shop, and he comes back at 0600, and he used to leave it in the refrigerator because he thought I was not awake. And of course, I am awake at 5:30 or
Right.
6, preparing the daily show. But Stephen Frederick, thank you for the iced coffee. And then Sarah Placeris, who is our catering manager
Catering.
here.
She's a wonderful event coordinator.
We call her the director of Shoreside Craft Services.
Yes.
It keeps us fed here, and we appreciate it very much. Some of the other sailors, just of note, we think this kid's going to be, he could be in the hunt. This is Josh Hyde from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. He is a fabulous sailor. I think he has an outside chance of winning. What do you think?
I do. I agree. I agree. I believe that any of these kids could win this race.
Well, okay,
Any of these kids.
you're being politically correct.
I have to be on the chair.
You are the chair. And you also, when you're not chairing this, you do a lot of judging umpiring, don't you?
I have in the past, yes.
What do you rather do? Do you rather umpire or chair the regatta?
I did both twice at the same time.
Did you umpire in this regatta?
I did twice as the chair.
I thought you already had too much to do.
I do. That's why I'm not chairing or umpiring anymore.
Okay, we're going to talk about your sister in a minute.
Okay.
But I do agree with you. I think Josh Hyde, and I more vociferously than you, I think Josh from the Royal RNZ has got a good shot. And we'll see if Marcello Torre does. He is my favorite now, along with Tom Hyde, not only because of his hairdo, and this year he's grown a mustache, and I apologized to him this morning because at the show last night, and we've had a picture of him, a picture from yesterday, in fact, and he's got this, he looks like Paul Kayard did back in the 70s, and he's got the kind of the bushy hairdo, not as big an afro as Kayard had back in the 70s. And we used to call Kayard the 70s porn star. And I said that to Andy. I said, don't use it in the show. Well, last night, Andy used it in the show, and he said,
did.
well, Eamon says you look like a 70s porn star.
That's how he got out of it.
And Marcello thought it was hilarious, and
Yes.
apparently he got a lot of texts and a lot of emails
yes.
this morning because I did talk to him. But the kid's another terrific sailor from WA, Western Australia, the Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club, and we'll see how he does in this series because he's back for his second or third time. You remember? Second or third?
I want to say it's, I think it's 3.
I think it is 3.
I think it is 3.
I'm not 100% sure. But again, on the theme that these kids now, they have studied the video from last year's Monday night. They come armed with a joke. They come with
Yes.
a riposte. And it's just fabulous.
Yes.
It brings everybody together.
Even Sienna and her team spent a few days reviewing. I said, they asked me for pointers. I said, watch the Monday night so you can interact with Andy.
Sabrina's telling us it's his third time.
Oh, see, I was right.
We have a production. We'll have to give you a production assistant credit, Sabrina. Thank you very much. Okay, well, it's a tradition here, Christine. You can explain this even better than Andy and I probably, but this is Tapper and Peterson last year. It was a light air finals, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that wasn't 3, but 4, 5, 6 knots. And there were a lot of luffing, and they luffed each other way beyond the weather mark. I mean, we thought at one point they were going to Long Beach.
Yes.
And it was, as they were boat for boat, they came back down. One of them missed the weather mark, didn't get their string wrapped around the mark in the right direction after going a half mile or more. Maybe it was a mile upwind, I don't know.
They were gone. They were out of our drone range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so we were we're sitting blabbing on the commentary boat. Well, we can see them. They're up there. Whoops, they've tacked. Oh, there's finally coming back. They also put kites up in the pre-start in one of the races last year.
They did. because the wind was super light. They sailed up above the start line and sailed back to start.
In the pre-start,
In the
they
pre-start,
had
too.
kites up. What's going on here? There's no point. Clark Chapin in Michigan is saying there's no point in inviting someone to compete if they don't have at least an outside chance. Well, that's true. Otherwise,
fair.
they're just chum for the winning Sharks. Well, that's fair. But you do invite the first timers. End up here with less experience, and they've never raced the boats in anger. They may have gotten some practice in out here, or they may have sailed the old GovCup 21s.
But they're very different boats.
The older boats are quite heavier and quite different than the newer, lighter boats that Alan Andrews designed both. So they're fantastic. The 22s that they're now racing are, all the kids come in and they say they're the best boats we've used in match racing
Yes.
ever, right? Year after year.
Yes.
Do you suppose the kids are just being political? They're just
Oh,
being
no.
nice?
No.
Oh, they never
No,
do
no.
that? They're chumming for an invitation next year?
They better like the boats then, right?
Boats are good, and they do have a wide range. As we said at the top of the show, they can race in from, tell me what, 6 up to 18, 19.
6 to 20. We sailed them in 22 knots.
That's from last year's finals. That could be the same 2 finalists this year, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see any of the other semifinals from last year, and even Josh Hyden. Who knows? Who else? The tradition then is to jump off the boat.
After you cross the finish line.
Yeah, hopefully. After you've won. And then there is Father Greg Newman there driving the bosun's boat, and Patrick Lieber up in the bow. The 2 of your bosuns, 2 of your hardest working bosuns. And what do the bosuns do?
They make sure our boats maintained and not break in the middle of the race. And if they do, they repair them on the water or when they come back to shore at the end of the evening.
Toughest job, longest hours in the regatta?
It is. They have to put them in the water, make sure they're all tuned correctly and equally, and then again, if anything breaks, have repair instantly so they can keep sailing.
Now, something else I've noticed is that Greg Newman, Father Greg as we call him, and I've sailed a lot of ocean miles with Greg on the Andrews 50, it's okay. Greg used to despise having to talk at the morning show here.
Yes,
to talk to the kids, and he talks you can tell he just wants to get it over with. But you know what? After a few years of doing this now, he's starting to become a veritable Johnny Carson. He's
really good now.
A late night star.
Absolutely.
He could be chairing the evening news, or hosting the evening news now. Father Greg, I hope he's watching. We like to make fun of everybody here. There's last year's team after they jumped in the water and came back up and rescued by the bosun's boat, put back on their own yacht, done a TV interview with their coach.
Frankie Dare.
Also from SoCal. Is he Cal Yacht Club?
Cal Yacht Club.
Cal Yacht Club up in Marina del Rey. And then he was called a beautiful man last night by an Australian with whom he's been sailing. Cole Tapper called him a beautiful blonde man, and that is?
Max Brennan.
And Max has been sailing with Jeffrey. Jeffrey has never won it without Max.
Correct.
And Max is not here this year because he has
aged out. He is 23.
And going to uni in Australia. In Sydney. So he's not back. But Jeffrey does have the next gentleman between Max and Jeffrey there. Jeffrey's on the left, of course, is back, and his name is?
Enzo Medito.
And he is a collegiate sailing partner friend from, I think, Georgetown University,
I believe so, yes.
With Jeffrey. So Jeffrey met him there at school. And
he's also a coach here at the club.
Oh, he is?
He is.
And he's back this year.
He is.
Sailing with Jeffrey. So who's Jeffrey's third?
Daniel Pegg.
Daniel Pegg's big, tall,
yes,
main trimmer, tactician, and a hell of a good sailor in his own right.
He's a great sailor. He's great.
I don't have a picture of Daniel, but we'll get one here for tomorrow morning's morning show, no doubt, as we watching Jeffrey and co. hoist the trophy last year at the prize giving. That will be live, as always, here Saturday afternoon at 1700, 5 p.m. We cover the finalists press conference that Andy conducts and the prize giving, starting 1700, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday evening. Could be Morgan and Jeffrey, too.
It could be.
What do you think?
They're crosstown rivals and friends and I believe Morgan has beaten Jeffrey in the past and vice versa, so it's a good match.
Okay, well, we'll see. GovCup TV, tell us about the, 20 some odd people that comprise
We
GovCup TV.
Chris Bretschker has handpicked his team this year again, and these are the people that interview all of the kids on the course. They fly the drones, they do the cameras. Andy, of course, and you, Tom, and I believe Matt Whitfield will be joining us once again for
He
the
will
live
be.
commentary
He
up
will
on
be.
the back of the boat of Adios.
There is last year's crack spotter,
Yep, Ken Sherb.
who you are also one of our crack spotters, and the spotters are arguably the most important people in the TV team. And I kid you not, anybody can talk. Any monkey can steer, as Andy says. The tactician is important. Well, Chris Bretschker sitting there with his hands on the dials and controls,
Yeah.
straight doing the live stream. We can talk, till the cows come home. But you, and this year you've got a new
Yes, we have
spotter.
Ethan from the back east.
He's never been to California before.
Wow.
This is
Well,
his first trip to California.
What a great experience for him then, isn't it?
He's from Long Island. What's his last name? It's
Snyder.
Ethan Schneider, who's a great sailor
Yeah.
from Seacliff
Yeah.
on Long Island. And he, along with you, is our spotters. And because we got 6 matches. We got 12 sailors. So at least in the rounds robin, we got 6 matches going on at once.
Yes.
In the semifinals, we only cover the 2 semifinalists, but we still have matches going on to determine 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th, and because the kids all sail right through Saturday.
Through Saturday.
And it's literally a 6-ring circus out there, and without the spotters, we would be FUBAR.
We just do our jobs so that
And
you look good.
They're listening to us, not in headphones, but we're only a couple meters apart. They're listening to us, looking up the track, and they hear me say to Andy, well, look up there. It looks like so-and-so's ahead. And Christine will turn around and shake her finger at me and point on her. She's got a big whiteboard with all of the sailors and all the matches and who's ahead and what color the spinnakers are. For the first hour, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
And for the second hour, we're so-so. And by the third, we do this for 5 hours
5,
sometimes.
6 hours.
By the third hour, we're pretty crotonic. I mean, we're
I
just.
think we did it for 7 hours one day.
We did down in San Diego.
San Diego?
The Rose Cup.
Yeah.
GovCup TV, and we will be at it again live out on the water on the good ship Adios, starting at 11:30 on Friday. Christine here on the right with your esteemed sister, who is an international umpire now and will be umpiring at the America's Cup 1 Heres.
Yes, that is correct.
So she's really come good as an umpire
Yes,
and is umpiring here.
she is.
Are you jealous?
No.
What do you mean? No. Sabrina's laughing her little hiney off over there.
She's done a great job as an umpire. She's earned this, and I am really proud of her.
Well, she is, and apparently, as I was talking with some of the umpires this morning, as you know me, I all the time asking questions.
Yeah.
I say, hey, is Katie any good?
Yeah.
Or is she just here because her sister appoints her to the umpire team?
Oh,
Or-
no.
Huh?
No. She's really good.
Now, your chump, I don't have his picture in the show, but we'll show it starting tomorrow morning. Your chump,
Yes.
and that means,
Chief umpire.
and that's not a derogatory
he's
comment.
not a
It's
chump.
Not a pejorative.
Yes.
And he's a great big guy from Australia who's
Yeah.
a terrific guy. Is he from Melbourne? I think he's from Melbourne. Melbourne.
No, I
No? Adelaide?
think he's from Sydney.
Is he? Okay, but his name is
Damien Boldyroux.
Boldyroux. In fact, I've got his lower third on here, ready to go. The guy is full of life. He is also a Mr. Personality, like Marius
great.
Westerlund
Yeah.
and a couple of these other kids. And his talk, I hope he's watching. He's out umpiring, so he's obviously not watching. But his talk to the kids this morning in your first session before they left, and we'll be covering those sessions live on the 0900 morning show starting tomorrow morning. His talk with the kids was, the tone and the tenor was perfect.
Yes. He's really good. I really like Damien, and I'm glad he's back again as the chief umpire.
And you brought him back for the second year.
I did.
Do you choose all the umpires?
I do.
So they gotta be nice to you.
They do have to be
Huh?
nice to me. Yes.
They gotta be nice to you. They don't get the invite.
They don't
back.
get invited back if they
Oh,
aren't.
dear. Let's look at the comments. David James says 70s porn star jokes almost write themselves. Susan Watson Kenny. Hello, Susan. There isn't anything that Father Newman can't do. Our bosun, yes, true. And Susan is our PR lady. She handles all of our media.
Press conferences, photo releases.
And
all of
when
it.
each night Andy goes out on the water mostly and writes the releases, then I do some editing, you do some editing.
Yes.
We send them to Susan Kenny, who then sends them out with the photos of the day.
Yes.
That we get from three, not one,
Three.
not two, three different photographers
Correct.
giving us. And we say, we think here's the theme of the day because so-and-so's done well or so-and-so's had a terrible day. And we get the most fantastic photos from Mary Longpre, who's not
No.
here this year
No, Mary Longpre's not here this year.
because she's down in Australia at Hamilton
No,
Island Race Week.
She will be here. She
will be?
She's here. She's just not one of our official photographers. She'll be on the water, I believe, Wednesday and Saturday.
She takes gorgeous shots.
Yes.
As do the other two, Bronnie Daniels.
Ronnie Daniels, Tom Walker, and now Bruce Crary.
Bruce Crary helped us with the Hall of Fame here
He
last year,
did,
right?
yes.
The Hall of Fame, and we televised that live from this same.
He's a Newport Harbor member, but he takes great pictures, and I fell in love with him.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell Dennis, your husband Kevin, a.k.a.
Yeah, no.
Dennis.
He took our photo at the Hall of Fame dinner last year.
You and your husband.
Yes.
Is it on your mantle piece now?
No.
Bannero, Rick in Connecticut saying, replying to John Emmett, said, Enzo is a member of GUST, the Georgetown University Sailing. See, you know, Bannero, these Fozy, as you know, you've watched the show, been on the
Yes.
show, they're so smart, so well connected, and Rick's in the Northeast, and he must know Enzo Mendito,
Mendito.
with an M, right?
Yes.
Mendito. And John Emmett in the UK, coach is saying our uni team is called Lush. What else? Patrick Keys is on. Great job, Chris. And you too, Tom. Greetings from Florida. Thank you, Patrick. Much appreciated. John Emmett, that was he was serious. Loughborough University student has-beens.
Oh.
Pindar's back on with a comment replying to John Emmett as is one of the Magenta Project founders, Annie Lush. Yeah, Annie's a hell of a good sailor. There's Mary. She's
We were
here.
corrected.
I'll be out photographing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Great, Mary. Thank you. She in all four of these folks are.
Yes.
There's Timothy Rossi.
Timothy.
Timothy is French. He was with us 2 years ago.
Last year.
Last year. And from France, he has gone on to amazingly good sailing career. So we shall see. We don't have a French entry this year.
No, not this year.
Timothy Rossi was a favorite last year. Very serious.
Yeah.
We saw him up in San Francisco, too, at an event. Julie and I were watching him, and we were actually minding our own business in the grill room at St. Francis, and he came over this whole, oh, you're here, how are you? And these kids are so bright, so personal.
They are.
Mary ain't no slouch either. Rick Banner was saying that is true. We're lucky to have all these folks taking photos, and everybody's a volunteer.
They all are volunteers, yes.
Volunteers, including our PR team here at the GovCup. Okay, we'll see. I'm going to be watching your sister extra careful to be sure she doesn't make any umping mistakes out there. I'm talking to the umpires, as you know, on the VHF handheld,
Yes.
on the media boat. And they just give me a rule number because I used to know the rules and I still know the numbers sort of, and they can just say that was a penalty to so-and-so for a 16,
Correct.
right? Or a 12 or a
Or an
whatever,
11.
Or an 11. So, and then I can relay it to our commentary team. This is Kari Bretschker, our
Yay.
Director of Craft Services, out on the water for the GovCup TV team. Look forward to hosting the media team on Adios on Friday and Saturday. Peter Taylor checking in. He's a senior serious guy at Oak Cliff, and the WMRT is in a couple weeks, the World Match Racing Tour. We cannot wait. Peter, nice to see you on as well. Okay, Christine, I want to ask you one more question. I took some pictures this morning, which I will, in video, in fact, that I'll run tomorrow on the morning show, on the 0900 morning show,
Yes.
of the Mark bots.
Yes.
Tell us about the Mark bots.
Well, we have new technology. Well, they've been around, I believe, for 7-8 years now.
Yep.
And our fleet captain, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, she said we should use these bots. This is where the technology is going. Let's get on. And I said, sure, let's do it. And she actually did all of the legwork for the last year, and got us bots.
Madam
And she
Chair,
raised
Madam
money.
Chair, back
Yes.
up.
Okay.
What are bots? What are mark bots?
They are remote control marks for racing. They
So-
take away the anchored tetrahedrons that we're all used to sailing with.
Exactly. And they're round, kind of three
They're
layers. They look
5.5 feet across.
Yep.
And they are
How
on
tall, do
two
you know?
pontoons. They are about 3 feet tall.
on two little pontoons.
Correct.
They have an engine
They have a little electric engine.
that swivels in all directions.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a big GPS receiver,
They do.
and they self-position by direction of the race committee.
Correct.
Pushing a button on maybe
On
not their iPhone.
it's an iPad.
On
No,
an iPad.
iPhones work too.
But
Yes.
literally on an
It's just on
iOS
a
device.
pad. Yes.
And if the race committee wants to change the orientation of the course, move the weather mark, push the button.
It's one little button, and you drag and go.
Have the mark bots ever gone rogue?
Not on us.
Did you see what happened at Sail GP?
I did.
You heard about it.
I heard about it.
Yeah. But they become increasingly reliable, and the club has bought these, right?
We've purchased 2, and Pamela has raised money, I believe, to purchase 2 more.
They tell me they have 6, so they've chartered
We
some.
have 6. We are hosting the ILCA Nationals here in another 2 weeks, and we need 6 for the ILCA Nationals. So they're here, and they're all out on the race course in case we need backups
Indeed.
or a change of course.
Indeed. Chris actually checking in from Melbourne, Australia. Christian Price. Christian, are you yet in? She's got this superb daughter, Olivia. And of course, their son, Harry Price, as you know,
yes.
is an alum, GovCup alum. And Olivia, the Divya, as I call her, I call all Olivias that, including Olivia Chalmant, who was a huge help yesterday.
Yes.
Olivia is sailing for Australia in the America's Cup.
Yeah.
And Olivia is also sailing in the Olympics, representing Australia in the, 29er.
Okay.
Hell of a good sailor. And I know Davy Price, the dad, and Christiane
yes.
Price, the mom, as you know them both, have been
Yes.
here for GovCup when Harry was sailing.
When Harry was sailing.
And it's nice to see them on, and we want to wish Olivia the very best in both events. It's just amazing to see how good these kids are. More on bots. I think we can skip the bots. There's Gordon Smith checking in from Copenhagen in Denmark. Gordon, nice to see you on. David James, it seems unlikely that they could last a day in heavy current, or am I wrong?
We had them out in heavy current back in February, and they lasted all day. They came back at 87% battery power still left.
Amazing.
So I think we should be okay.
Here's Fog Machine saying sometimes they do a crazy Ivan, which they did at Sail GP. That's Lance Burke, and you know what a crazy Ivan, what that
I
reference
do know.
is.
Yes.
Did you like that movie?
I love that movie.
I do too. I don't know why that is, but it's also several of the Fozy. It's their favorite movie, and of course the name of the movie was
Hunt for Red October.
Sabrina. Did you like Hunt for Red October? Da 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 da
Great
da
music
da,
too. Yes.
Da da, and a great actor in Sean
Connery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now we've got one sing. Julia will be proud because we've done one singing here. If you're just checking in with us, Alec Baldwin was in that too before he became a crouton.
It's true.
Right? If you're just checking in, I have here on my right the esteemed chair of the Governor's Cup here, the 57th edition of the Governor's Cup, Christine Gribben. She's here, and we really appreciate having you here, Christine, live as we do now. We must have done this 3, 4, 5 years.
At least that many, yes.
How long have we been doing GovCup TV?
It was before COVID.
I have a shirt that says 2013 on
I think we have one that says 2013.
We have 2016, I think.
2016 for
Yeah.
sure.
And you remember how we first started doing that? Where's my iPhone?
The iPhones on, yes. We chased people around with iPhones.
We said this on Friday's show with Andrew, but we literally could not stream from a computer and cameras and so on. The only way you could live stream was on Facebook on an iPhone, little square
And the little
The
fuzzy
little triangular.
Yeah, and the little fuzzy mic, so we wouldn't pick up the wind.
Well, we tried.
We did try.
You remember who our first crack spotter was?
No.
Jeffrey Peterson.
Oh, okay.
He
yes.
was a little twerp.
He
I
was
mean,
a little kid back then.
He was never a twerp, but you know what I mean.
He was a little kid.
Okay, let's wrap this one up because we want to give a shout out to all the umpires who are from, what do you have? How many umps?
I have 14 umpires.
From how many
From
countries?
5 countries.
Including your sister, Katie.
Including my sister.
Maxim. Okay, we will be live, as I've said a number of times by now, but those of you just joining us, this is the second of 10 live shows from Balboa Yacht Club this week for the 57th edition of the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning and every morning through Saturday for our pre-race show, followed by racing live Friday and Saturday at 11:30, and then the press conferences both evenings, 7 o'clock Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday, followed, of course, by the prize giving. You call it trophy presentation or prize giving?
We call it trophy presentation.
The
Prize giving works too.
The worldwide term has become, thanks or no thanks to the Brits, prize giving. So it gets...
It's a trophy. They're getting trophies.
Okay, so that's what we're doing this week. Christiane Price has a busy week. She's on her way to Marseille tomorrow. They're in Provence now. Probably having a bit of wine and cheese.
Oh, why would you not?
Why would you? And what else? Lots of messages already. Gruber and David James are back and forth, and Stingray, who's up in Seattle, about bots good at swimming with the waves using various strokes. Other prefer surfing. Okay, there's testing of them going on. Lance Burke, fog machine tells us on San Francisco Bay, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Christine, can you stay and co-host?
Yes.
Pretend you're Julia for a little bit?
No, I can't be
You
Julia.
didn't-
She's awesome.
You didn't go to Stanford.
No, I did not go to Stanford.
Did you go to a public school or private school?
Public school.
You and me both. And I always have to be reminded by Julia. She went, she's the grammarian. Okay, you and I will try to hold down the fort, having gone to public. Where'd you go?
I went to Orange Coast College and Fullerton.
Nice. So right here in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's Christine Gribben, and she's been our star today. Let's get to John Emmett's report. John Emmett, from the coaching corner, he sent a video in late last night. He's back from the Youth Worlds at Lake Garda, and he and his bride, Lily Zhu, Golden Lily, were commentating for the World Youths. And they are back now in Weymouth, because John's report today comes to you from the Castle Cove Sailing Club.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. I've just got back from stunningly beautiful Lake Garda. That's actually the largest lake in Italy, and the mountains on the side are spectacular. The tallest is over 3,000, and up near the northern end of the lake, where it's deepest, near 350 metres, is where we have the various sailing clubs. And you can probably tell from my get-up, the first thing I did when I got back home was to go sailing. So I'm here in Castle Cove Sailing Club, just reflecting on the past week, and it was just really nice to get out on the water myself. The interesting thing, which perhaps would be no surprise, after a week off, a lot of my injuries are feeling a bit better, specifically my hips and my wrist, having that rest from sailing. So no jokes from the Fozy, just because Lily was there. But it was really interesting that maybe if I had 2 weeks off, I'd get even more improvement. And the time was just so easily spent. The final day, I think we did 90 minutes live coverage, and it went in the blink of an eye. And I really enjoyed it. In fact, sat there on a sofa or on a bar stool next to my wife, watching sailing on TV and talking about it. It didn't really seem like real work. I hope I did a good job. I've watched everything back in replay, and definitely a lot to learn. Less ums, more coordination for the talking I think would work well. Actually what we ended up doing in the end is just gently placing a hand on the other person's leg when it was your turn to talk. But I think if I did that to another commentator, I might get a slap. But we'll see. It's a very small world, and the production company for me was amazing. They made my life very, very easy. And behind the scenes, I actually had them in the ear the whole time. They did some incredible work. A good example was on one of the days we were set up on the furthest course in Malchesney, and the aim was to cover the kites. And actually for whatever reason, the thermal breeze didn't arrive at the kites. And because of that, they had to completely rotate all their equipment to the closest race course to the North Shore, and they just did it seamlessly, and we did eventually get to cover the kites on the last day, and I enjoyed that. It's a bit of a learning experience for me. It's the class I know the least about, but you can see how the whole fleet performs. So just before the start, the kites come down, the board angle changes and they're off, and actually you see the sails change before the sailors move on the board. And it's good that they're really forward thinking. So for the next Olympics, they're going to be looking at having kites that are slightly small in size to bring that weight down, because the weight has just gone up and up, and to make it more accessible for, you know, lighter people. And they do get faster and faster. So flying a drone at 30 knots, they made it look easy. I could even see the hands and feet of the sailors. And the team who did that, I actually coached the person whose production company it was when he sailed what was then called a Laser 4.7. So that's a really good reason for just thinking sailing is a lifetime sport. After that, he went on to be a world champion windsurfer, and it just shows because the whole team knew exactly where to place the drones and the cameras to see what was most important to the viewer, because if they're arriving at the Libre mark at 30 knots, you've got to be there. And that's, you know, the future of our sport, the young people, however they do it. But the sad thing for me, and I don't know if you can see it in the background, but we do have a flag here at Castle Cove that's flying at half mast. Very recently lost an incredibly good friend called Bill Barker. He had cancer, leukemia, and he was the person who introduced me to Castle Cove Sailing Club. As is the case with a lot of clubs, you need, if you like, a sponsor or a proposer, somebody who recommends you to join. Both myself and Lily owe him a huge amount. And yes, he passed away just a couple of days ago, and you know, he finished doing what he loved. He went over to the academy and had a Bill special. So if you ever come there, that's named after him. That was his standard lunch, and he went out on Imogen with some of the club members and watched the Musto Skiff Worlds, and his son Sam Barker had a fantastic day. So really mixed feelings here being at the club, just looking at the youngest sailors and trying to encourage them. And I recommended that they look at the feed, because the standard of sailing at the Youth Worlds, I have never seen it so high. So if you want to know how to sail a 420 well, you know, look at the Greek girls, or whoever it was who's leading. And then just to say that sailing really is a sport for life, and my very best wishes to Bill and his whole family, and you know, that was his thing. And however ill he came to club and had a beer in his final few days. So God bless you, Bill, and best of luck to everybody else, whatever they're doing. Sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Bye for now.
John Emmett with his John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet, our regular segment. Appreciate it as always very much. And John also celebrating a person who's passed away, and obviously a big impact force in his life are, I suppose, a lot of people. On the kids here, starting with Christine, starting with the Commodore, and it's just an amazing sport, our beloved sport. If you're just joining us, we have Christine Gribben, the regatta chair with us. She's staying a la Julia, and we're going to talk some more. But just before we go back to her, I wanted to show you what it looks like here to our left. This is the tent here where we will, that far tent, you can see those poles there in the middle. That is the end of the tent that we're under, and that far tent helped house last night's 300-plus dinner, Christine. And that's coming down as soon as we get off the air. Normally they do it in the morning, so they've been polite to us here, or maybe they're just bloody late. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's great. Either way.
It is great, and it's terrific. You can see the club, and I want to use this shot for another reason. If you look to the right, hanging off the club, you see those posters, those of you who are watching live online. There are posters hanging off the club. I have a video of that. I did a panning video of those yesterday, Christine. In fact, I did it yesterday, and I'll run it on one of the morning shows. But tell us, if you would, please, about those posters.
Well, they feature every one of the skippers and their highlights on what they have done so far in their lives and what, club they're from, what country they're from, and a couple of pictures of them either individually or with their teams.
Yeah, but it's more than that. Why are they so special?
Well, they get to take them home.
I sit here, and you do too, but you're too busy. I'm just flaking around here. Not quite, but you know what I mean. And I watch all day long senior serious people, youth sailors, and everybody in between come down and they say, oh.
Yes, the juniors here do. They all come and they read about each of the competitors, and they said, wow, look at, he's 17 and he's done this, and he sailed in the Olympic class, and he sailed a 49er. I want to be like him one day. And wow, I met Jeffrey Peterson. I know Jeffrey. I know Sienna. I know Cole Tapper. And the kids just, their eyes light up, and they tag their parents over and go, look, Mom, here, this is what I want to do. I want to be up here one day. So
that's what I wanted to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those posters it's another innovation. It seems small, but you know what? It's a hugely effective and beneficial innovation that the club has done. That you've done. Is that your idea, or who came up with that?
Andy does most of them. Yes.
I know he does them because he's a frustrated graphic artist. He loves to do graphic arts. But who came up with the idea of those posters?
I believe it was Andy.
Was it?
I think so.
Well,
and they've been up since. I think what we were trying to do one year was hide the construction wall back in 2019.
There's always a reason.
And they worked really well, and it's been now a tradition ever since.
And they're not inexpensive.
No.
Well, you did something else that's really nice, and I won't pan back over to that shot, but you also put one up in honor of Liam.
We did. I mean, he was supposed to be here, and he still is here. So we honored him with his own banner as well.
And a lei.
And we put the lei up on his poster, too.
Nice touch. Nice touch. Let's go talk about the Olympics for a minute, shall we? Because they are opening. The ceremony is this Friday. Stephen Frederick, over where I'm staying with Stephen and Andy Rose, they're going to record this. So we can, when we get back from here Friday night, we can watch the opening ceremony, which is supposed to be, you've seen the previews, right? On the Seine River.
Yes.
And that is this Friday. And I hope the river is not flowing too fast. They've had some problems with fast flow, but looking just briefly through press reports this morning, it looked like it's going to be okay. I hope it is. Oops, I got one ahead of myself there. I hope it is, and I hope that there's not a security problem. They got a bigger military force there than about the whole history of France, I think, guarding Paris and Marseille, where the sailing is, and one or two other venues where these other sports are being played. So I hope, I pray that it is a safe and just fabulous Olympics, especially down in Marseille, for our sailors. Speaking of which, World Sailing has been running these really cool videos introducing each of the disciplines, each of the classes, and today we're going to wrap up with the windsurfer. They're called wind gliders. Well, they used to be, and they're now the windsurfer class. They're called technically IQ foils.
Cool.
The IQ foil class, and here is that video.
The IQ Foil is the new windsurfing class that will be making its debut at the Paris Olympics. Israel's Sharon Cantor and Luc van Opsieland from the Netherlands tell us all about the successor to the RSX.
IQ Foil is a windsurf class for the Olympic Games, and this time we're going to foil.
It's the follow-up of the previous RS6 class. It's a little bit more extreme, it's a little bit more exciting. It's a step into the future, into the right direction. We're having a board, obviously, that keeps us afloat. Underneath that there we have a foil that allows us to fly. And you'll see us race most of the time around 50 to 60 kilometers an hour.
You cannot find this speed in sailing. It's crazy. You can just be so fast by control, and it can be so cool. The difference between boys and girls in the Olympic class, the board is the same, the foil is the same, but the sail, the men's is 9 meters and the women's is 8 meters.
Our sails are actually quite diverse. We're able to pull them tighter, make the sails a little bit flatter, allowing them to release the pressure a little bit better when the wind picks up. And this allows us to range in a very broad range of wind.
In our class you need to be pretty physical and fit. We need to pump a lot, and it's pretty hard class.
We're doing up to 6 races a day with sometimes a marathon in there. So yeah, imagine you're doing a little sprint yourself for a solid 15 minutes, and then you got to do it 6 times a day for 5 days in a row. It is quite demanding, and we train really hard for this. The conditions in Marseille during the Olympics is going to be very black and white, in my opinion. I think we're either going to have a beautiful mistral and 20 knots, or we're going to have some marginal sea breeze, 5 to 9 knots, I assume. We do a very interesting final series, winner takes all. So it really comes down to that one moment, and the one that is going to be able to keep his head the coolest and perform its best under pressure is going to bring the medal home. Who am I looking at that could be winning a medal? My training partner, Nico Lorena, up there, 100%. Nico Goyard fighting for a medal. Myself, I'm going to fight for a medal.
On the podium in Marseille, it can be Emma Wilson from Great Britain, also Sarah Winnekes from the Netherlands, and I think also Mina Mobek from Norway, and I hope that I will be also.
Okay, well, as the planes fly over and the boats are being worked on here in the dinghy park, we are live at Balboa Yacht Club with Christine Gribben, the chair, as any of you just joining us. What a fantastic afternoon here.
It is fantastic. The weather has cooperated this year. The sun has been shining, and the wind is nice and light.
It will be really nice when we turn off the lights, the television lights. We bought special television lights this year to really light up the stage behind us when we go live tomorrow morning. And it's really becoming, with each year, we're also 1080p. We've been 1080p on Sailing Illustrated for some time, but on the water we're going to be 1080p full broadcast HD.
Yes, this year.
Yeah, and that's thanks to Elon Musk. You know why?
No.
Because we've got Chris Bretschker, our executive producer,
Yes.
has gone out and figured out not only how to get and buy, you've let him buy, 2
I have.
Starlink, and when I do this, everybody makes fun of me, 2 Starlink receivers,
Yes.
transmitters, transceivers, and that, of course, the satellite technology to the internet. It allows Chris to upload at a high enough bandwidth speed so that we can go 1080p instead of just using the cellular system, which we've been using. He still has a cellular connection in case one of the satellite, we get a gaposis up there in the satellites for a minute or so, which does happen from time to time.
Right.
So we shall see how that all goes, but it's constant innovation. It's constant, thanks to you
Every
and
year
Andy,
we add more. So
and the others who give. What did you raise this year for this event? Can you say order of magnitude to put it on?
$150,000, I believe, 160.
And the sponsors are extremely generous.
Extremely generous.
There's a sponsor wall over here, and we'll be running that in due course in the morning shows and beyond. But the job you're doing here with sponsors is also astonishing. Lance Burke, Fog Machine, saying we had a Starlink on his Pack Cup boat. It is an absolute game changer. The Pack Cup, which goes from San Francisco to Honolulu, and I think their boat that Fog Machine, a.k.a. Lance Burke, was on, I think their boat had to retire. I'm not 100% sure. I don't believe he's already out there. But John Emmett, others have told me about how good Starlink is for maritime purposes. John Sangmeister used it, I know, on his boat, rock and roll to Hawaii last year. So it is cool stuff that's going on technologically, Christine.
Yes.
Do you know what happened on this day in history? The 23rd of July in the year 1759. Sabrina's already Googling it, even though she's got a babe in arms over there. This day, here's your first clue. Any idea who that is?
I do know who that is.
You saw it when we were doing a run-through just before we went live.
I saw, but I couldn't read it.
Who is it?
I do know who Sir Francis Drake is.
Okay, that is Sir Francis Drake. Circa 1540 to 1596, an esteemed admiral. He was a warrior as well, but he also was he was the first Brit to circumnavigate the world,
I think so.
and came over here to the west coast of the U.S. and is just has an amazing history, including fighting off the Spanish in the Spanish Armada. He was one of the Brits who did that, but also he then went after the Spanish when he was over here on our west coast, what is now our west coast. And he was, they called him a pirate, the Spanish did, because the guy was pillaging. Unbelievable. One of Drake's most notable exploits was his circumnavigation of the globe from 1570. He didn't live very long. 1577 to 1580, he emerged as the first Englishman to navigate the Straits of Magellan and was the first to claim California for England. I did not know California was ever claimed for England until I prepared this piece this morning. Believing it to be an island, I remember those maps. Remember those maps that he must have gone up the Baja?
Yep.
And he thought that California extended up further. Excuse my hand here.
Yeah.
And he thought California was an island separate from the rest of the U.S. So that's what he did. And what did he do separate from the rest of the mainland of America? Drake's exploration ventures paved the way for an English expansion to the New World. And again, this is in the late 1500s. But what happened specifically on this day in history in 1579? He departed San Francisco to cross the Pacific.
Ah.
I think I wasn't around, obviously, but we were all happy to get rid of him.
Yes.
By then
Stop pillaging.
He's claiming California for the Brits. The Spanish were not amused.
No.
So he continued on his circumnavigation. And as I say, he did not live, 45 or so?
Yeah,
50
that's not
maybe?
very long.
Not very long. That's what happened this day in history back in 1579. The comments were rolling in. Yeah, the English also call him a pirate, Gordon Smith, who is English, living in Denmark. What are we, almost an hour and 30 minutes into the show? Probably time to wrap this one up. We've got a little America's Cup segment. We're not going to talk at all about what's going on in Barcelona. There's Ted Ryman down in Cape Town saying, California is ours. He's a Brit living in Cape Town in South Africa. AC37 Cup Day, we just want to give out another shout out to Magnus the Magnificent and his fine book, There Is No Second. Get it, is all I can say. Julia's been reading it, I've been reading it, any number of the other Fozy have read it, and it's a fabulous book indeed. I commend it. Have you read it, Christine?
No, I have not.
I will send you my copy down here when I'm done with it, because it really is terrific. Magnus Wheatley's There Is No Second. We're going to get Magnus on the show. He's promised to come on the show in due course. Julia knows that, to give us an update from Barcelona. But in the meantime, he's also got a new quick last-minute job. He's been hired to do something. I can't say what it is because he didn't want me to It hasn't been
Announce it.
announced publicly yet, but the guy goes from strength to strength, and he's a Fozy and a dear friend. We'd love to have Magnus on here, as we've loved having Christine on here, which brings us to the last leg, our final segment for today's show, this magnificent painting from 1982. And we bring to you the guy has been my favorite GovCup sailor this whole time that I've been doing GovCup the last 10 years, and that is and it looks like Marius, but it's pronounced Morius.
Is it?
Yeah, I've been told by the Swedes, and I've been texting with Morius, who's in, I think, Göteborg and Gothenburg. Vesterland, and to send us a video which he has done.
Yeah, hello. Hello. My name is Marius Westerlind. I've sailed the GovCup 2 times before, and this would have been my last year, but unfortunately, as you maybe can tell, I'm not there at the moment, which I'm very sad about. I was promised early in the year to be in Barcelona now doing the AC40, which I know Tom and Andy, I know you're not that big of a fan of those boats, but yeah, that didn't end up happening, and instead I'm now here on the roads in France, and we're driving around with a very luxurious vehicle. We have here the brand new rib model with not a lot of air in it, some rust on the trailer, and a boat that's somehow still on the trailer. So we're just at the Uniworlds in the 49er, and I really wish I could be there with you guys, but unfortunately I'm here on the road. So I wish you all the best of luck, and have good fun.
And that, of course, is GovCup alum Marius, although, as I said, it's pronounced Morius, I believe. I'm probably halfway between how I'm pronouncing it and Marius. Mr. Personality, Vesterland, the guy not only has a great head of hair, but you can see he's got a fine sense of humor, and he's on the road someplace in France, headed, I guess, to Marseille. I'm not sure where. And we miss you too, Marius. Thank you for sending that video in this morning. Christine, we'll have some more videos.
Yes.
We'll have some
all
more
week.
videos all week from kids, alum that are sending them in. Very cool dude. Ted Ryman is saying, I guess Ted knows him. Gordon Smith knows Marius. He said, nice to hear from him. And David James says he won't make any 70s porn. Well, he doesn't have a mustache. He's clean shaven. Come on, look. He doesn't look like a 70s porn star.
No.
He's just got Mr. Personality. He's full of life. He's a great guy. Okay, that's it for us, except for our D block. We have one thing that Greg Phillips sent in from Australia. You know this, what we do right at the end.
Yes.
The Whiskey Tango Foxtrot segment. What the fudge?
Yes.
And we have just one slide today. And apropos all the posting, and several of you had something to say about all the posts I'm making on my Facebook page about the GovCup, and I will continue to do that. If you want to know anything about GovCup going forward in the next days, just go to my personal Facebook page, and of course the GovCup Facebook page as well. I like it. Me. Everyone's commenting on my post. Come on, is that clever?
It's very clever.
Now,
I like
Julie-
it.
Huh?
I like it, yes.
I was worried if I put in something dirty and you had to do Julia's
Naughty finger.
finger wag. You know, she's very possessive about her role as the finger wagger.
Absolutely.
Right, Julia, you're watching, I'm sure. Okay, that gets us to the last little bit here. That's sent in by Greg Phillips. Thank you, Greg, for sending that in. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Sailing Illustrated show without me saying it's time for the non-sailing CEO to go. He's got to go. I hear he's going. Can't be too soon, and probably right after the Olympics. The non-sailing CEO is going to go. Jody is not on that I've seen, and if he is, he didn't say testicles, Gordon Smith. That's another key word. That they're all sitting here having a drink wherever in the world they are. It's late at
Why
night
not?
in Europe. So they're having a drink, and that's one of the drinking words, if we manage to use that word in the show. Somebody's got to be the morality police. Might as well be Julia. It is her indeed. That gets us to the finish line. We appreciate all of you coming on. Julia reads this slide, so you can do it today. Be sure to
Like and follow and share.
That's exactly right. You see, anybody, you didn't go to Harvard or Stanford,
No,
but you
I
can
did
still
not.
read like me. We both went to public schools. Yes, please like, follow, and share. Many of you have already done so. It helps us with the algorithms on Facebook and YouTube. Comments are welcome, even in replay. Most of you, we get hundreds watching live, but we get most of you watching in replay in different time zones and when you have a job or not. And thank you very much for your support, as well as those of you who support us by being patrons via Patreon, patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. Thanks very much indeed for your support. Thank you, Christine.
Well, thank you, Tom.
For coming on live. We really appreciate it. You've been a great co-host.
Thank you.
And a great regatta chair.
Thank you. I look forward to next year.
Well, let's see. 1 year at a time.
Yes.
1 year at a time. And that thank you also to those who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show, including Tom Walker, Mary Longpree, and Bronnie Daniels. And their photos and videos will be adorning our shows going forward. The next of which will be tomorrow morning at 0900 on Wednesday, the pre-race morning show here under the tent at Balboa Yacht Club. We hope you can join for that. In the meantime, we'll see you next Tuesday for our regular Sailing Illustrated show, and see you here for the rest of the week on the GovCup TV. If you have a chance to go sailing, do it, and sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.